Hey everyone, and welcome back. It's Monday night, and we're gonna start getting back into the swing of things. We're gonna be doing a traditional Warp Zone episode tonight, where we take a look at some of the latest news hitting the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch 2, and occasionally maybe dipping into other gaming news. But tonight, I'll be honest, we'll be focused pretty much around the Switch news because we have a lot of stuff coming up. We're also going to be looking at the new games coming up this week. What's going to be new to that section is we're not only doing Nintendo Switch, but we are doing Nintendo Switch 2. So if you guys are wanting to see if there's any new games coming out that are specifically for the Nintendo Switch 2, we will be looking at that tonight. For the moment, we're going to be mixing the videos. We're going to be doing Switch 2 and Switch 1 together because obviously there aren't enough Switch 2 games to, like, Switch 2 specific games to merit a separate video. But at the same time, I love to make the reminder almost every Switch 1 game is also going to run on the 2. And even I can tell you from a guaranteed perspective that even for upcoming games, a lot of them are running better on the Switch 2. I have played 2 games so far that are coming out, one this week, one next week, and I can tell you both of them play better on the Switch 2. And these are brand new games hitting the eShop, good games, and these good games play even better if you play them on a Switch 2. So it's really worth taking a look at them and whatnot. How long do you charge your Pro Controller for the first time? Honestly, I used it the very same day because if you guys remember, I unboxed it and started using it right away. But after that, I charged it overnight. I know some people are like, hey, you're not supposed to plug things in overnight, but it is what it is, man. That's what I did for the first time. I just plugged it in overnight. And we are going to be talking about Switch battery issues tonight, by the way. I talked about a little bit about them last stream as well, in case any of you were having the issues really quickly. But tonight we're really going to go through these step-by-steps, like what it is you have to do to fix most of the battery issues on the Switch 2. And Topaz is being Topaz tonight, so she wants to make sure that everyone knows that she is part of the stream as well. And you get to see some nice cat butt. Yeah? So, but we're going to go through, like I said, step by step, everything you guys need to do if you are having battery issues. I was having battery issues. It took me not even a day. It's all fixed up now. And by issues, I'm just saying, like, the battery itself is fine. It's that the Switch is not indicating the right charge amount on it. So sometimes you think you only have 25% battery left, but you might have 40% battery left. Okay, that's what we mean by battery issues. So it's not that the Switch doesn't charge. It's not that the battery doesn't work. It's that the battery isn't telling you the right amount of battery that's left. Okay. Need to train the battery with the Nintendo reset. Yes, that's what I would say as well. Like, I would say if you have a Switch 2, I would definitely, no matter what, at least train the battery once or twice. And you'll know right away whether whether your battery is okay or not, because when we look at the problem, you'll understand it. I'll try to help you understand it pretty simply. And I've also got a even like better method than the Nintendo method. It went faster, my method, and after like 2 times, it was all good. Now Topaz is being a big pain in the butt tonight, but yes. Do you do this with the adaptive battery on or off? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Because the way you're doing it, the adaptive battery does, you're not plugging it through the dock, so the adaptive battery doesn't really affect anything. When you're going to want to train your battery, you're going to want to plug it directly into the Switch, not through the console. So it doesn't really matter, because the adaptive battery is really for someone that leaves it on the dock in like in the dock plugged in, so that the battery doesn't drain over time. And more than that, we're going to be celebrating a bit because I know this is sort of old news now, but we didn't officially, like, with the timing of all the announcements and everything, we did last week's like show, and then the official announcement from Nintendo came out like the next day. I'll kick you in the dock. Sure. Sure, Primo. But yeah, so didn't actually celebrate the fact that Nintendo broke the all-time fastest console launch with 3.5 million units in 5 days, but we'll be looking at that tonight. We'll be celebrating that. And honestly, I've got to give Nintendo a little bit of props for that. They didn't even mention other consoles. They didn't even mention other consoles. They just purely said the best Nintendo selling console of all time without specifying that they crushed pretty much all consoles altogether. Go Expos. Yes, sir, Rob, man. Hopefully one day we'll maybe get them back in Montreal. That would be a really awesome thing. I love going to see baseball games, but unfortunately it's really hard because I have to drive like, I would say like 6 hours to get a decent team. Like the Blue Jays are about a 6-hour drive away, and the Red Sox are about like maybe 5 hours, 5.5 hours away. Actually, no, I think Boston's a little further, maybe 7 hours away. I'd have to go check. I'd have to do a maps again to make sure. Exactly. No, and I mean, they did it with class. It's classy, man. They didn't even say the biggest seller of all time. They just said the biggest Nintendo launch of all time. Why? Because they don't give a fudge what other guys are doing. All they care is that their numbers are better than they ever were before. Now, I don't think this is going to be the biggest profitable year for Nintendo because although there are these big sales, don't forget that right now profit margins are probably at the lowest for a new console versus an old console. But it is, I think they're setting up I think this is going to be the most successful like generational jump out of the big three consoles. Like if we look like PS4 to PS5, Xbox One to Xbox Series, Switch to Switch 2, I think Switch to Switch 2 is going to be the most successful transfer from one generation to the next. Why? Because basically the player base is going to be there right away. I do think the developers are going to support the system quicker, and we are most likely going to see a generational flip quicker than the other consoles. What I mean is like we're probably going to see more games come out specifically for the Switch 2 faster than we saw transition from like PS4 to PS5 or Xbox One to Xbox Series. I do think like within the next 6 months, we're going to start seeing fewer and fewer games launching on the Switch 1 and really targeting the Switch 2. Especially like if the holiday season is going to be like extremely decisive this year. Like if Nintendo can hit, I'm going to throw out a crazy number here. If Nintendo can hit like between like really their number of like 15 to 20 million consoles sold, next year we're going to start seeing almost like most games being exclusively Switch 2. Exclusively Switch 2 starting next year. But yeah, so we're going to be looking at that. We're also going to be looking at the charts of the best-selling Switch 2 games so far, because I was really interested in seeing what games were actually selling, not only physically, but also eShop games. What are the biggest selling eShop games so far? What are people buying? And there's one game that I have no mother effing idea how it made spot number 2 on the list. Like, it's honestly, to me, it's like, it's a disappointment that it made spot number 2. Not because I don't love Nintendo, but because, honestly, we shouldn't be supporting the fact that... We'll get to it. We'll get to it a little later. Because I'm gonna give it away. I'm gonna give it away if I say anything more. Other than that, what are we gonna look at tonight? I'll be honest, we're probably going to take a lot of time on those stories. Oh, of course. We're going to be talking about the Nintendo Direct that no one asked for and no one wanted whatsoever. Um, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not even going to be covering it on Wednesday. Like, honestly, if I was off and not doing anything, I'd cover it. But I'm working on Wednesday and I'm not going to take time off for a Bonanza Direct. I'm most likely going to try to maybe do a quick reaction video afterwards, but I'm not going to like take time off to stream it live. That is not the Direct I wanted for this week. Last week I said it. I was almost sure there was going to be a Direct in June. Right after Gamescom, like the week after Gamescom. That's what I said last week. I was right. However, I was really expecting a general direct where we were going to be setting up the Switch 2 games that we don't yet know about. And I was severely disappointed because what we're getting is a Bonanza Direct. Which is not that I'm not excited about the game, because I am actually really excited about the game. But I honestly think that I think that most people that are picking up Bonanza are already decided that they're picking up Bonanza or not. I don't think they need the extra direct. And I think what people really need now to maybe like inch some extra sales is really like amp up what games are coming to the Switch 2 that we don't yet know about. What games were in Gamescom that maybe are secretly going to be coming to Switch 2 that we don't yet know are coming to Switch 2. Yeah, I'm hardcore disappointed it's not a full direct. I'm not lying, guys. I'm hardcore disappointed. Like I said, I'm not gonna ignore it, but I'm not gonna cover it live because it's just not worth it. It's like the Mario Kart Direct was extremely disappointing too. Once again, not because I didn't like the game, but because it's one of those directs where Nintendo's giving you like almost too much information. Like, I'd rather just wait and it be a surprise when I play the game than you flat out tell me everything about the game in like 20 minutes of talking. Like, no, man, let me live it. Let me experience it. Let me feel the game out. You know, give me a demo. Maybe there will be a demo. You know what? Maybe there will be a demo. If there's a demo, I'll play it and we can talk about the demo. That would be actually pretty freaking awesome. Pretty freaking awesome. Yeah, but I think they don't need to do a direct to scoop up those fans. I think they're better off like propping up the game, like setting out a demo or some stuff. Okay, let me just say a quick hi to everyone in the chat. Hey, Squirrel, once Kilos, Nanaki, Champ, Squirrel, welcome, guys. Who else? We had Rob show up. We have Emmy, welcome. Who else? I think I've got pretty much everyone. Oh, Annie. Hey, Annie. Welcome to the stream. By the way, guys, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help the stream a lot, sends it out to more people, and obviously really helps the channel grow overall. Like, those likes, those, you know. Also, if you ever want to share the stream, whatnot, very appreciated on socials. You can tag me on Twitter, on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and I will definitely retweet your tweet if you tweet at me. Okay, are we ready to get started? I think we are, eh? I'm pretty ready tonight. I'm pretty ready. We're starting a little bit late tonight, but I just really needed time to set everything up. By the way, also really quick before we get started, next week I am on vacation. There will not be streams most likely at all next week. Like what Monday, Wednesday, Friday stream will not happen. I'm on vacation. I'm gonna be out of town, so unfortunately, next week's gonna be like a deader week on the channel. I'm going to try to do some maybe little content like shorts and stuff from my hotel room. But no, actually, I'm going to Toronto. I'm going to Toronto and Niagara Falls. We're staying local this year. So I'll have good access to internet, and you know what? If I get to visit some cool stuff over there, like gaming wise, I might film a bit of stuff over there, maybe post it up. Like I said, a few shorts. Go visit a GameStop or an EB Games over there, and go look. I'm going to medieval times, but I don't really think that it's fun, but it doesn't really fit on the channel. Lady of the Mist. I think it's the Maid of the Mist. It's called. If it's still the same name as the old boat, it's the Maid of the Mist. This year I am getting myself a Hershey's hoodie though, because last year I did not get one, or 2 years ago I did not get one when I went. I want my Hershey's hoodie now. I want my Hershey's hoodie. Okay. So yeah, let's jump into stuff quietly. By the way, when are the Oilers playing? Are they playing? Are they playing tonight? And I'm missing it. Hold on. Oilers versus Panthers. Florida leads 3-2. Tomorrow 8 p.m. man. Tomorrow 8 p.m. It might be the end, man. It might be the end. God freaking damn it. To whoever said that the cup isn't coming north in the comments, fuck you with love. Like, it's all good. I love the teasing and stuff, but I'm going to tell you, shut the fuck up. Okay? Because the cup is going to come back north eventually. Oh, okay. Like I said, let's get started. Quiet, like, boom. Shinobi. Oh, by the way, one last thing. I'm gonna post up a video tomorrow. I played through the Ninja Gaiden demo, because I don't know if you guys know, but on Steam there is a Ninja Gaiden Ragebound demo. I played through it. I'm going to be posting up the video of my playthrough, like commentary playthrough of it. That's why you see my green screen off to the side, because I sort of recorded myself playing it, but I wanted to use the green screen so that you see as much of the screen as possible. The game is freaking amazing, man. I'm loving it. Ragebound is freaking god damn it. I love my 2D action platform. It's hard though. Well, it's hard. Like, it's not like crazy, like tear your hair out, but they are definitely going for like retro difficulty. They're like not mincing stuff. Like, even the demo is hard. Do you think the Switch will run it fine? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Because the 2D art style, to me, feels like it should be able to run well. But I definitely think the place you're going to want to play it, once again, is the Switch 2. And I know this might be disappointing some of my like longtime fans that haven't upgraded yet or whatnot. It's just, that's going to be the answer, I think, for like 80% of the games coming out over the next 6 months. Why am I saying this? Because if you look at the games that came out even over the last 6 months that just went by, like 50% of them were having some kind of performance issues. Like, even Cattle Country, that I love, has performance issues when there's too much shit going on the screen, and the Switch 2 doesn't have that. The frames don't drop. Of course, it's a farming chill game, so it doesn't really matter that you had a few frame drops here and there when you're like, there's too much stuff going up on the screen. But the Switch 2 just, you don't have to deal with that. Like, even some older games right now just run amazingly well on the Switch 2 that were running like crap on the Switch 1. Darksiders 3, like, once we're done the Zelda playthrough, I think we're going to play through Darksiders 3 on Switch 2. Who knows, we might even get an official patch for that game. But even without a patch, the game runs like chef's kiss, man, on the Switch 2, and it was running like complete freaking garbage on the Switch 1. Like, Darksiders is one of my favorite series of all time. Like, modern series of all time. Like, when we're not talking like retro series, it's one of my favorite, like, more modern series of all time. And the third one was so freaking disappointing. But yeah. Okay. Okay, I've said enough. I've said enough. First, let's start with a little public service announcement. Nintendo is apparently banning Switch 2s that are using MIG cartridges, guys. So be very, very careful. If you are the owner of a MIG Switch cartridge, apparently Nintendo can tell when you are using it. On top of it, the MIG cartridges just put out a recent firmware that makes them compatible with the Switch 2 for playing Switch 1 games. Okay, let me just specify that. The MIG Switch does not let you play Switch 2 games on it, but it does let you use your MIG cartridge with the Switch 1. A MIG cartridge, for those who do not know what it is basically a way to play. It is a way. It's like a flash card, but for the Switch. Like, if you have a flash card for like Game Boy Advanced, it's that basically you can put all your games on a micro SD card, and then you can play them in the Switch. The MIG Switch does that for the Switch 1. It's that rather than having to play your games, you could theoretically download or rip your cartridges, put them on a memory card, and put all your games on one cartridge, and then basically play them from the Switch. Obviously, no one is pirating, you know? You all own these games, so you rip your own games, you put them on the cartridge, and then you play them from your Switch 1. So that is what the MIG Switch is. If you don't know, let me just see if I can pop it up here. MIG Switch. Like, basically, this is what a MIG Switch cartridge looks like. You see? So it's basically a Nintendo Switch cartridge that has a micro SD slot coming out of the side. So basically, you pop that in and you have your Switch games on a micro SD. Of course, no one is pirating, guys. Come on. No one uses this to pirate games. They are only ripping their own games. Of course. Come on. Let's be honest. We're all legit people here. We all love giving our money to Nintendo. So you are only using it to rip your own games. But basically, right now, so originally when the Switch 2 came out, the MIG Switch just wasn't working with it. Okay? Wasn't working with it at all. They put a firmware update where the firmware update basically now makes it compatible with the Switch 2 for playing Switch 1 games. So you cannot put Switch 2 games on the cartridge and play a Switch 2 game, but you can play Switch 1 games from the cartridge. Now, apparently, a couple of people, or at least some people, have declared online that Nintendo has banned their console after using their MIG Switch with their Switch 2 and going online. So it's just like a PSA announcement. Is this true? Is this limited to one person who was too active and started making too much noise? Perhaps. But for the moment, I would be careful with my MIG Switch. Like, I personally, even if I had one, I wouldn't be putting it in my Switch 2. I'd just be using it with my Switch 1. I'd just be using it with my Switch 1 because honestly, it's not worth it right now for the trouble. You know, unless you can just buy another Switch 2 if it gets banned. And most likely have to make a new Nintendo account and lose the games that you've already downloaded. Ugh. Like, come on, guys. Like, I don't know if they banned the Nintendo account or if they banned just a console. I have a feeling it could relate to both. So personally, I would just, for the moment, not use my MIG switch till more information comes out about this. Because like I said, we're talking about unconfirmed 100%. These are they're pulled from Reddit threads for the moment. So this is unconfirmed whether it's a general issue. But, you know, is it worth it right now? I would rather just stay away from it. So public service announcement. If you have a mixed switch, I would keep it away from the Switch 2 for the moment till we have more information on whether this is generalized or it's maybe just really because whoever got banned went overboard and started doing shit. Either way, if you're using a mixed Switch, personally, I wouldn't go online. I wouldn't have my Switch online, but it's really hard with the Switch 2 right now because everything needs updates right now. Everything needs downloads. Nintendo is doing this on purpose to make people who would want to use their Switch only offline incredibly like user friendly to do so. So that is our first little tidbit. Be careful if you have a mixed switch. Okay. Next, since we're into public service announcements, the PSAs, let's talk right away about the battery life for the Switch 2, which I would say is maybe the biggest wrinkle on the launch for the Switch 2. Now, just so you know, Nintendo put out an official notice on their website letting you know that they know it's happening. So this isn't like just a rumored thing. This isn't just people being haters. Like, Nintendo has acknowledged that this is an issue for the moment. Now, as I said, I don't think it's really a big issue, and you'll see why in a moment, because I'll explain to you how you fix it. And basically, it's something that happens with a lot of tech devices. I just think that with all the attention currently now on the Switch 2, that's why it's coming out to be like such a big thing. And I say big thing, but honestly, I've seen some people complain online, but once you realize how easy the fix is, it's actually not that big of an issue. So let me just set the stage to explain what the battery issue is. It's that basically the battery issue is not showing the right charge for how much battery life is left. And to be honest, it's always almost in the same sense. It's that the battery will tell you that there is less battery left than what there is really left. So basically, the easy way to test this is you play a game in handheld mode. You get to 0% or you get to 1%. And normally, once you get to 1% and you get that notification that you're running out of battery, normally your Switch should shut off in the next, like, I would say 3 to 5 minutes of play. Like, when you're at 1%, you should, like, it's immediate. Like, it's the end of the road. You have, like, 3 to 5 minutes to save your game, do something, because normally you run out of battery, like, right away. But what's happening right now is that you'll be at 1%, and you'll still sometimes have like 30 minutes, 45 minutes of gameplay left. So what that actually means is the battery wasn't really at 1%. It was maybe still at 15%. It was maybe still at 20%. The number is unimportant. The important part is that what the Switch is indicating isn't actually the battery life that is left in the Switch. Now, why can this be frustrating? Well, if you're trying to get the most out of your battery life and you think you're at 5% and it's time to charge your Switch, but in reality, you still have like an hour and a half or like 45 minutes to an hour of gameplay left, well, it's giving you the impression that you have to stop playing, or that your Switch is basically shittier than it actually is. Now, just to be on the flip side, battery life on the Switch 2 is a lot shorter than the Switch 1. If you're playing a very demanding game, let's say Cyberpunk, you can't expect way more than 3 hours of gameplay, especially if you're playing in a well-lit room, and with HDR on and all that stuff. Okay? That is really something you have to be aware of. The battery life is a lot weaker. And if you remember, I've been talking about this since the Switch 2 specs came out. I really find it funny that everyone's like, oh my God, why is the Switch 2 battery life so bad? When I showed you guys the day after Nintendo put the specs out, that they were saying the battery life was going to be half of a Switch Lite. And it's like no one picked up on it. I made a video talking about the fact, a month before the Switch 2 came out, I made a video talking about how the biggest problem with the Switch 2 is most likely going to be the disappointing battery life. This was not a hidden issue. It was not whatever. Obviously, Nintendo didn't say hey, we're going to have a weak battery in our Switch, but they didn't hide it in any way. It was right on their spec sheet. I just think a lot of people glazed over it, or they just didn't want to acknowledge it. But that's what's going to happen. And if you've watched the stream for longer than that, a year ago, I was talking about the biggest problem being that if we want a 4K capable system, battery life was going to be an issue. If you guys watched the stream, I talked about this more than a year ago. But it is what it is, okay? Now let's talk about the actual issue here to make sure you're getting the most out of your Switch. So number one, you test your Switch. You play it in handheld mode. You get to 1%. If your battery doesn't run out in the next 5 minutes, you currently do not have the right battery percentage displayed on your system. Now, oddly enough, there was a previous step, and I can't find it on the Nintendo website, but luckily our friends over at Nintendo Life have it up on their website. If you type Nintendo Switch battery problem, there is a first step to the process. But I'll be honest with you, you could skip it as well. Okay? I tested with someone else that has a Switch 2. They did not do the reset. They went straight to the battery training, and it worked. Okay? So the first step, I think it's safer. It's better to start with that, but it isn't, I would say, absolutely necessary. I think the primary problem here is that the processor needs a little bit of battery training from the get-go. So number one is that you have to make sure that you're using the actual Switch 2 power charger to charge your Switch 2. I know for some of you out there, you're like, duh. Well, if you're using the Switch 1 power adapter, it's important you know that it only charges the Switch properly if you're plugging it directly into the Switch 2. If you plug it through the dock, it's just not charging your Switch. Okay. And either way, if you want to really charge your Switch quickly, you're better off charging it outside of the dock than through the dock, even with the Switch 2 adapter. By the way, hey, Living Legend, welcome to the stream. I saw you said hi. I forgot to say hi back. I was in the middle of a rant about battery life. You know, I get in those moods sometimes. So number one is, obviously, make sure you have your Switch 2 power adapter. All the steps we're about to talk about, it's way better if you're using the actual Switch 2 power adapter. Step number two, really stupid, but make sure you have the latest system update. Why? Because I do think Nintendo is probably going to make this better from the system standpoint eventually in a future update. They're probably not exactly sure how to fix it though, because at one point systems just need battery training. Okay? But make sure you have the latest update. Then you're going to power off the console. So you hold the power button down 10 seconds till the power options appear on screen and you actually turn it off. So when we say power off the console, I just want to be super clear here. A lot of people that I saw were making the mistake of just putting it in sleep mode. That's not powering off the console. We're talking about holding the button down till the power options appear and choosing turn off the console. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to turn it back on while holding the plus and minus volume rocker. So if you take your Switch 2, and I'm going to put this on the screen. There we go. So if you put your Switch 2, you're going to hold the volume rockers of plus and minus down at the same time. And then you're going to press the power button. You're going to press it once, but you're going to keep holding the plus and minus button down until you see the recovery screen. Just to let you know, it is a real good 10 seconds till it happens. Maybe I would even say sometimes 15. Like, just like if you're counting quickly in your head, I would say you're probably going to sometimes even hit up to 15. Oh, congrats, Neo Blitz. Wow, your birthday was actually no, Father's Day was on Sunday, not Saturday. But awesome, Neo Blitz. Congrats, my man. Welcome to the Switch 2 family. Now we have the A class family and we have the B class family here at the channel. And you guys know I love you all. I'm just teasing you. I love my B class family as well. But we do have two classes. So basically you're going to hold it down till you hit recovery mode, and just going into recovery mode, by the way, is what's going to reset your power level. So normally you should then just be able to hold down the power button till it turns off, turn the console back on, and you should be back to the right power level. However, I'm going to tell you right away, that doesn't resolve most of the issues. And now, by the way, Nintendo Life has the other steps on their website as well after. But for the rest, I'm just going to go to the Nintendo website because that's the one, like, you know, that I would say go to first. Because if they do update this, they're going to update the page on the Nintendo website before they update the pages on third parties. Okay, so they might be able to eventually have a different procedure or whatnot. Now, I'm going to tell you right away, the problem with the resetting your Switch for the right battery is that it's going to fix it for that moment, but you're most likely going to have the issue come back again and again, which is why I personally would say go straight to the battery training. It will automatically make sure that you're probably resolving the issue long term. Now, if you don't know what battery training is, I'm gonna try to break it down super easy. And let me get the Nintendo website back up here and everything. Okay, so step 2, battery training. Okay, basically, the way a cell phone or any smart device indicates how much battery you have left, okay, is a combination of different factors. There are sensors in the battery, but there's also a predictive algorithm that predicts how much battery is left based on what actions you're doing with the phone. And it also learns your habits and what you do with your phone to predict how fast the battery is emptying and filling up and whatnot. Okay, so there is and that's where the battery training part of this comes in. Basically, you need to teach your Switch console how big its battery is and how fast its battery is charging and discharging. So number one, what you want to do is you want to go into the auto sleep settings in your settings, and you want to make sure that all 3 of the sleep modes are set to never. Okay, because basically what you want to do is you want to make sure that your console doesn't go into sleep mode automatically. Because what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to let your console run out of battery. So the best way to do that is to leave it running. That's why step one is you want to turn off the settings in the auto sleep mode, and you want to put never on the first three settings. What this is just going to do is make sure that your console doesn't go into sleep mode automatically. Therefore, you can run the battery out quicker. Okay, makes sense. The console stays on even if you're not touching it, meaning you don't have to sit there for 3 hours looking at your console, moving the joystick every few seconds to make sure that your console doesn't turn off. Next, you want to plug in your AC adapter to make 100% sure that your console is fully charged. Now, if your console is already indicating fully charged, you just plug it in for an hour. If your console is not fully charged, you want to plug it in till it hits 100% and then leave it plugged for another hour. What this means is that in case your battery is indicating 100%, but it's not really 100%, that extra hour is going to make sure you hit that real 100%. Okay? I'm translating the steps here so you just understand logically what's happening. Then basically, after that, all you need to do is you need to run down the battery, but in a steady fashion. And this is where it comes down. What Nintendo is telling you to do is to just leave the console on the home screen and let it discharge that way. But I'm telling you right now, just to switch on the home screen, letting it discharge is going to take like 4 to 4.5 hours. It's long as heck. It's like long and very boring. Okay? What I would do, and what I did to do mine, and so that it cut out like about an hour to an hour and a half of time, is I actually, if you own Mario Kart, I just left it on the start screen of Mario Kart because it automatically runs through the open world in the background. So if you just leave your Switch on with Mario Kart started up on the start screen where Mario's auto driving around, you actually cut like an hour to an hour and a half out of the process. And it's still discharging very regularly because you're not actively playing. The danger with actively playing, by the way, is that sometimes the game will be stressing the system more, sometimes less. What that means is that the battery training will be not as consistent. Okay? But just letting you know, basically what you want to do is let it run down in a constant fashion. What that's going to do is it's going to help the predictive algorithm basically make sense of how much the battery discharges over time. And it's going to sort of make it wake up and realize how much battery life the Switch actually has. Then basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to let it run out till the Switch automatically turns off. They say till it's as empty as you can make it without it being empty. I'm telling you right now, the way I got it done in like 2 tries is I let it empty all the freaking way. And then all I did was plug in the power adapter just to get to turn it on and to turn it off completely. Because when you plug in the power adapter, you'll see the Switch will turn on right away, because when it runs out of battery, it actually goes into sleep mode. It doesn't turn itself completely off. So just plugging in the cable will turn the screen on, you hold the power adapter, and you turn it off. Then you wait 30 minutes with it off, and you charge it back up. All the way. An hour passed when it says it's full. And then you basically do that 2 or 3 times, and eventually you'll see that you'll get to 1% and your console's going to shut off within 2 minutes. It took me 3 times till I got that exact thing. The first time I tried, I got about 45 minutes of extra playtime after I was already at 1%. The second time, I was already down to about, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes after that. And by the third time, it hit like straight after. I did it one last time just to be safe, but twice in a row, I basically got to 1% and the Switch would shut off like within 2-3 minutes later. So it's very simple. It's just charge the Switch all the way, go an hour past the full charge, discharge it, and do that 3 times in a row. And try to discharge it in the most consistent way possible. So yes, it sucks because you maybe lose like a day of game time. But by the way, you don't need to do this all in a row. You can use the console in between and do it like over 3 days, once a day. It is just time consuming and annoying. But after 2 or 3 times, you'll get it. And theoretically, you can keep using your console without doing this. It's just that you're never going to be sure that the battery amount you're seeing is the actual proper amount. So I would recommend like everyone test it out. If you have a Switch 2, you just try to run your Switch 2 down. And if it turns off when it gets to 1, you're good. If it still keeps playing for, I would say, more than 5 minutes after it hits 1%, you most likely are better off training the battery to make sure you get it exactly. Hey, Y Squad, how you doing, my man? So basically, that is the whole battery issue. Now, I know it took me a crazy long time to explain it, but at the same time, if this can help anyone out there get the max out of your Switch 2, I don't mind to do it. And I think a lot of people are reading the steps and it feels complicated the way they wrote it, but it's actually super simple. It's just charge your battery, empty it, charge your battery, empty it, and that's it. Recovery mode just automatically resets the percentage immediately. All you do is enter recovery mode and exit it. The problem is that's only going to be a temporary fix. You understand? Because it resets it for that point in time. But as your battery discharges again, it might once again show you the wrong percentage in the future. Do you guys get why I prefer to say everyone should battery train? Is that the recovery mode option only immediately fixes it then. But you don't know if the next time you charge your Switch up and start using it again, you might be having the wrong percentage again. While if you train your battery, you pretty much eliminate the problem forever. Exactly. Charge empty, like these nuts, baby. Exactly. So there we go. The huge, awful battery problem for the Switch 2 is just basically battery training. You know, it is what it is, man. Like, and it's just, I find funny that people go crazy because I'll be honest, everything from a cell phone to anything, most cell phones and stuff do that as well. You maybe didn't notice it just because you're not counting the exact hours you're getting out of your cell, but it often, like emptying and charging your cell, it takes like, I would say like a week before you're getting like your full charge 100% out of your cell often. So that is the huge battery issue for the Switch 2. I think a lot of people made a mountain out of a molehill, as you could say. And yeah, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's like, to me, it's like a nothing burger, but people made it sound like, oh my God, the Switch 2 has an issue. I think there's so many haters out there that want the Switch 2 to fail. And because it's actually doing so well, I think some people are actually like crashing out. Like, no joke. I see people like crashing out. Like, there's a comment, like, it's stupid, but there's a comment on my review of Fast Fusion, and the guy's like, because I said the graphics in Fast Fusion are like jaw-dropping, and the guy's like, oh yeah, jaw-dropping graphics upscaled from like 500p. And I'm like, upscaled or not, who gives a shit? If it looks good, it looks good. Like, if the end result is satisfying, who gives a crap how you got there? And like, obviously, if you could get native 4K out of stuff, all the better. But if your game looks great upscaled to 4K, who gives a shit? Like, Do you think you're convincing me that the graphics are not great because they're upscaled? Like, whatever. Sure. Okay. They're upscaled. Still look jaw dropping. Still look great. Still look fantastic on a 4K TV. And I put it on a real, like, I put it on my, like, 52-inch 4K TV upstairs. I raced with my wife for the side-by-side footage. I showed her the game. Like, she was terrible at it, but it is what it is as well. I raced with my wife to get the side-by-side footage. And we did it on the big 52-incher upstairs. And the game looked freaking amazing, man. Like, who cares? And the worst, you know what the worst is? Here's the actual truth about that. I would love to put those people through a test one day to give them, like, you know what I mean? Like a range of images which with the same game upscaled and the same game with native 4K, and see how many of them can automatically choose out the native 4Ks from the upscaled without fucking up. And I'm pretty sure most of them are going to fail like 50% of the time or more. Especially if you especially if like you're in a scenario where the image is moving. Like if on a still image between two different images, I'm pretty sure if you look close enough, you'll be able to tell. But if you're looking at two games during gameplay, I am pretty sure that most of these haters that are like, I need native 4K, will not be able to tell the difference from upscaled 4K to native 4K. And you can do it. Like on PC, you can do it. There's many games that allow you to like lower the resolution and upscale it, or brute force it like natively. Like Helldivers has those like those options a lot, you know, and like I would say a lot of games have them. I'm pretty freaking sure most of them can't even tell the difference. So it just drives me nuts that people are trying to bitch that it's upscaled. And I'm like, yeah, so? Like, is upscaling supposed to like make me feel like it's bad? Sure, okay. Anyway, it's just I just find it completely freaking funny. Okay? Like, I actually read that comment and I was laughing. And I was like obviously he's trying to like be insulting, but I'm like, your comment means absolutely nothing, because even whether it's upscaled or not, does the game look good? It does. Okay, who cares how you got there? Yeah, exactly. And you can upscale it. You can do higher resolution for a lower frame rate right now. But anyway, you know, my rant is done now. Okay. Next, guys, it's time for some celebrations. It's time for some celebrations. Because for all the shit that people were trying to give the Nintendo Switch 2, in the first like 4 to 5 days of the Switch being out, and I'm saying 4 to 5 because like a lot of people are saying 4, a lot of people are saying 5. Let's just be honest, depending on where you are in the world, we don't have an exact cutoff time of when they stop counting. So like if they're counting from the start of the launch in like Japan to the end of the launch in North America, there's like a day missing in North America. So let's just say 4 or 5 days. The Switch sold 3.5 million units, making it not only the biggest like the fastest selling Nintendo console of all time, but also the fastest selling console, period. Period. smashing the PlayStation 2, smashing like even the previous Nintendo consoles by a mile. It is very, very, very good news. Why? Because that shows that people don't give a crap what people are saying online. And you know what? A lot of the haters probably bought a freaking Nintendo Switch too. Why? Because it's the fashionable and cool thing to bitch on about the Switch 2. So I am extremely happy with this news. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm thinking 20 million by the end of the year. By the end of the holiday season, I think we're going to hit 20 million. Seeing how Nintendo is able to restock on top of it with almost every store that I visited in the last week, you are able to buy a Switch 2. And that's not because they aren't selling. That's because Nintendo is like delivering products. It is awesome to see. Not only that, but scalpers online are getting their ass handed to them. They have to sell their consoles at a loss. That was like a beautiful, beautiful sight. Because honestly, what happened with the PlayStation 5 was such a piece of garbage, and it actually hurt the PlayStation 5. It actually hurt the PlayStation 5. I'll tell you guys, some people think, oh, Sony doesn't care because they're selling out all their consoles. No, because the consoles that are in the hands of scalpers and sitting in their homes for like 2 months before being resold is people not buying games. And if you have to pay double price for your console, you're buying less controllers, you're buying less games because you had to pay double freaking price for your console. Yeah, it was bad timing, but you know, like it was bad timing, and I'm not putting this on Sony. It just is what it is. But that launch was definite ass. But you know why they did it, right? They were trying to cash in on everyone being at home and having the biggest, like the video game industry profited from COVID to an enormous amount. Like it hurt the generational leap, but at the same time, profits for video games have never been higher than they were at during COVID. So, like, I'm not crying for PlayStation, but it did hurt the generation. And the problem is that I don't think the PS5 is ever going to recover from it. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at the quantity of games coming out for the PlayStation 5, it is disappointing. Now, this year seems to be ticking things up a decent amount. With the showcases we got, especially the Xbox showcase, we seem to be getting quite a few games this year that are going to be... I think this is going to be one of the better holiday seasons for owners of all systems. But I do think the Switch is going to smash it. I'm just really hoping that Nintendo has a hidden holiday game in their back pocket that will really go grab the general masses. Like, obviously, Mario Kart is going to be a top seller. But I do think they need another general audience seller. And look, I know we have Metroid Prime 4. Yes. Problem is, it's not a game that's going to attract a 10-year-old that doesn't know gaming yet too well. Like, and I'm saying 10-year-old. Let's say 8-year-old, because nowadays gamers start earlier. Let's say it's not going to attract an 8-year-old. And you know what I mean? Like, Metroid Prime 4 is one of those tastes that goes after a slightly more mature audience. So that isn't gonna, like, get people, like, going to buy the Switch that haven't already wanted to buy it. Like, I really think they need a Mario. They need, I what I'm really hoping is I'm hoping they don't think they can bank on like their upgrade packs for like the previous Mario Party and the previous Zeldas to sort of like phone it in. Okay? And I'm saying phone it in a sense that Nintendo never has like a really big mainstream holiday game. And this year I feel like they don't have that mainstream game unless you're counting Mario Kart, but to me that's not a holiday game. That's a launch game. That's just a launch game. And the problem is most people are going to be looking for the bundles. But you need a game to go with the bundle. Like, retailers want games to go with the bundles. You need a game to go with the bundle. So that's where I'm like, Prime 4 is going to be cool. I'm super excited for it for us, for this audience, but it's not the mom and pop console seller. It's not the grandmas going out to buy their kids a Switch 2 console seller. Now, I would love to get Stellar Blade on the Switch. Stellar Blade is hitting PC. I've really wanted to play Stellar Blade. I haven't played it yet. I've been waiting in case it gets a Switch 2 launch. I really hope it gets a Switch 2 launch. Oh my god. That game looks like, okay, like Gooner stuff aside, the game looks really fun. Okay? Stellar Blade is Korean. I'm 99% sure that it's Korean. But yeah, that is the one thing that like I said, I would like people to and that's why I'm really disappointed with the Direct this week, but we're getting into that. So, congrats Nintendo. Switch 2 is on its way to maybe being, I said it before the Switch 2 started, this is going to be the biggest console generation ever for Nintendo. And I really think it will be. I think it will surpass the Switch 1. I really, really, really think that the Switch 2 is going to outsell the Switch 1. Which is crazy to think, but I think it's going to happen. Okay. On the topic of sales, let's jump into the best-selling Switch games so far. Switch 2 games so far. So, first of all, we have two different categories. We have the Switch 2 eShop bestsellers. So this is only counting eShop sales. We are not counting the game card sales, or I think Capcom puts their game card sales in their digital sales. So maybe it's in this. I don't know. Okay. But we do also have the download-only games. So the games that do not have a physical version. Now, let's start with the Switch 2 eShop bestseller. So this is all together. By the way, we'll get to it. I think it comes as no surprise to anyone on planet Earth that the top-selling eShop game is Mario Kart World. I'll be honest, Nintendo is probably counting bundles as sales of Mario Kart World as well. So this is a bit of maybe a cheat. You know what I mean? For the moment, especially. Because I know that that Nintendo was counting the bundles with Mario Kart 8 in it as Mario Kart 8 sales. Okay? But number 2 biggest selling game, I'm actually surprised. I'm not surprised because the game isn't good. I'm just surprised that it actually outsold like the Zelda Tears of the Kingdoms and the like Street Fighter 6. Because I do think that's, well, Cyberpunk sold extremely well on every other console. So maybe I shouldn't say I'm surprised. I still am though. I still am, just because I didn't think the Switch audience was that crazy about Cyberpunk 2077. But I've got to say, the game surprised me even a bit. It's still not my type of game because But the story is much better than I thought. And the characters are much more enticing than I thought. Like, I got way more into the storyline than I thought I was going to get. And it is a great game overall. I'm just really surprised to see it in second place. Then we have Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Upgrade Pack. This is no surprise. I'm actually surprised that this isn't number 2. I'm actually surprised that this isn't number 2. And I'm really surprised that Zelda Breath of the Wild hit 6. Because number 4 is really surprising me. But it is what it is. Fantasy Life, The Girl Who Steals Time, is actually the 4th highest selling Switch 2 game. And by the way, if any of you missed my notification, VGP has pre-orders open again for The Girl Who Steals Time. I don't know if they still have them though. I ordered my copy, by the way. My copy is on its way. Let's just see. Now, these are pre-orders for the end of June, though. They're coming in pretty quick. Yeah, it's still there. The PS5 version is sold out, though. The PS5 version is gone. There's only the Switch version left physically. And by the way, you can get the upgrade kit for really cheap. I think it's like $5. So, Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. If you haven't picked up your physical copy, it's available on VGP, back order to the end of June. So what that means is that basically by the end of June, they should be getting copies in and shipping them back out. But you can order them right now to have your copy leave as soon as possible. Okay? Just throwing it out there. Links to VGP are in the chat. You can check it out. The Stream Elements bot is pasting them. You can help out the channel a little bit if you want to pick up your pre-order. I would greatly appreciate it. Everything goes back into getting more games and more stuff for the channel. Okay. Next, we have Deltarune. Honestly, I'm freaking surprised that Deltarune surpassed Breath of the Wild. Once again, not because Deltarune isn't a great game, but it surpassed Breath of the Wild. Just got Ragebound Switch from VGP. Awesome, my man. Living Legend, thank you for the $2. Very appreciated, my man. Thank you so much. Number 7. Who's buying Welcome Tour? Like, seriously, guys. Why? I know I'm bitching, but like... And we're going to look at the download-only games in a second here. I'm actually disappointed that people are buying Welcome Tour. Nintendo should not be rewarded for selling a pack-in title. Like, honestly, I hate the word boycott, but if there was one thing that we should have boycotted, it would be the Welcome Tour. But here it is at number 7. Next, we have No Man's Sky. I'm really happy to see this in the top 10. It was in my eShop deals video if you didn't see. But No Man's Sky has a free upgrade for Switch 2. So even if you already have the game on Switch 1, boom, Switch 2 upgrade for free. Amazing game, and you can get it for $23.99 right now. It's really... this is a $60 game. This is easily a $60 game. Great thing. Like, if you're looking for, like, a great, like, game to showcase the performance of the Switch 2, give you hundreds of hours of gameplay, you have to like open world shit, though, but No Man's Sky, great freaking game. Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, glad to see this in the top 10. Obviously, right now, there aren't that many Switch 2 games, so, like, top 10 is very, like, But still, the remake is the remaster is really well done, and the game to begin with is really good. I would even say better than the second. Like if you played Bravely Default 2 and you were like, it's okay, but it's not that good. Play the original one. I think it's better. I personally think Bravely Default 1 is better than 2. And lastly, we have Street Fighter 6. Guys, we got to support our Street Fighters. I love Street Fighter, and I want Tekken on the Switch too. So we got to show them that we want those online competitive fighters, guys. Now let's go down to the eShop bestsellers. How the heck did Welcome Tour beat Fast Fusion? Guys, no. I refuse that Welcome Tour beat Fast Fusion. Fast Fusion is honestly, bang for your buck, it's the best Switch 2 game you can buy. I'm not saying it's the best overall. I'm saying bang for your buck. $15 for Fast Fusion. It's the best price quality ratio game on the Switch 2 right now. The game is fun. It's addictive. It has decent content for $15. It is a graphical powerhouse for the Switch 2. And yes, it's upscaled. Sorry. If you guys were watching earlier, you know why that comment was made. But yeah, it is what it is. 4, Kinutsugami really surprises me. Because this is really a niche title. But Kinutsugami is a really cool action / tower defense game. I'm glad to see it in the top 10. I'm just surprised it's this high. Survival Kids number 5. I haven't seen anything about Survival Kids. I need to give me a second. I just need to blow my nose. Too much topaz hair floating around. I'm really surprised to see Survival Kids at number 5. I thought that game was going to crash and burn. Now, I haven't tried it yet. I do want to try it. It's just way too... I have too many other things to do right now to play Survival Kids. Like, the excitement's not there on a personal level, and I'd have to convince my family to play with me to get the full experience. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster. Surprised to see this high. Not because they aren't great games. Once again, it's a niche thing. I'm surprised to see Ridge Racer this low. I thought Ridge Racer was going to be much higher. I still have to get Ridge Racer. I definitely want to get Ridge Racer, and I definitely want to play it on stream at least once. Nobunaga's Ambition, the Awakening Complete Edition. I really thought this game was going to bomb as well because it is such a deep Eastern heavy title, but it is what it is. And then Wild Hearts S as a pre-order, I guess. I guess people don't know what to buy right now on Switch 2, so even a pre-order makes the top 10 for the moment. But it is what it is. So those were the biggest selling games for the moment on the US eShop. Nice start. Surprising start for some games. Surprising start for some games. Sorry, I'm shit for chatting tonight. Burned your hand on a 400-degree oven. Ouch. And you hurt your back pretty bad, so just whimpering in the corner tonight. Oh, I'm sorry, Annie. I wish, when I hear stuff like that, I'm the kind of person that I wish I could be there to, wrap your hand in a moist, cool towel. By the way, the trick is not cold water, eh? It's room temperature water. You want to get your skin back up to the room temperature, and you don't want it to be too big of a change between the temperature of the water and the ambient temperature. So you sort of want to work your way up to warmer water, and you want to start as warm as you can tolerate in the beginning. So you want to start with coolish water. But yeah, man, I have an awful story for when my kids were young. Did I ever tell it? I don't know if I told it or not. But Hopefully you guys won't mind. I'm gonna take 5 minutes. But basically, when my youngest was a baby, she was about like a year old, I think about a year and a half to 2 years old. I was holding her like in one arm, and I was cooking with the other. Okay, so she was like, up here, and I'm sort of cooking with the other hand. And I have one of those glass top stoves where, when you turn it on, like the stove gets red, like, the glass gets red. So I'm like cooking with one hand. She's in the other hand. She's like, you know, doing whatever the kids do, and like messing with my hair and shit, and whatnot. And then basically I lean over the stove to like turn on the 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 second side, because I'm about to like grab a pot of water to put some pasta on. I turn it on, and because it glows red, she wants to touch it because she thinks like it's red. She's like, "Oh, it's red." So she puts her little hand on the stove where I just turned it on. I yanked her away as fast as I could, but unfortunately, she burned her little hand when she was like a year and a half to 2 years old. By the way, no scars, nothing major. Don't worry. But dude, I felt so shitty. Like, theoretically, it is my fault. Like, you're theoretically cooking with a baby in your hand is not the best idea, but I was home alone with like three kids, had to make lunch, like, and you have a 1.5 year old that's like crying that wants to be in your arms, so you take her in your arms. It is what it is. Um, and basically, dude, I felt so shitty that I didn't sleep at all that night. Basically, her hand was hurting so much that she couldn't like fall asleep. So what I did is I basically I put her hand in a bowl of water, like lukewarm water, and I sat beside her bed holding her hand in the lukewarm water all night so that she could sleep. And I didn't sleep like at all that night. I basically I basically like spent the whole night up beside her bed holding her hand in the bucket of water so that she could sleep. Um the good news is by the next day, like, it sort of started callousing and she was okay. But like it happened in the evening, so that's why it was like tough, like we were like, it is what it is. But like I said, it wasn't major because like it wasn't like second degree or third degrees. It was like just first degrees. But for a kid that young, when it's a big enough surface of their hand, it really sucked. Anyway, don't worry. Even me, it still gets me now when I think about it. I felt so, like I said, I felt so shitty. I told my wife, I'm like, look, I don't care if I don't sleep. I don't care if like I throw up because I'm like so tired. I'm like, I'm making sure she has a good night and she wakes up okay tomorrow. So I stayed up like I said, all night beside her bed, holding her hand in that little bucket of water. I still remember. She still tells the story today. And the worst is I'm sure she doesn't remember it, but we've told it to her so many times that she thinks she remembers it. Because like there's no way that you remember when you're a year and a half old to 2 years old. But anyway. It is there. My story for tonight. My little bit of lore. Okay, we have one last story to look at before we jump into the new games. And it's the one I've been bitching about all night. Yes, sirree, Bob, if you didn't know. At 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern time, on June 18th, which is in 2 days, or actually 1 day, because we are already the 17th now. So tomorrow, theoretically, we are getting a Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct with 15 minutes of information about the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 game. I'm really just hoping for a demo. Honestly, like I'm gonna watch the direct. Look, I said it. It's not a bad thing that this direct is happening. It's just not what I wanted. I really wanted to see new games. I just really wanted to see new games. I think that's what most people want to see, and it is just one of those things that I don't think this is going to be revolutionary. Like, I'm already convinced. I have the game pre-ordered. I'm going to pick it up, and we're going to be playing it day one when it comes out. I don't think they need this 15-minute direct. I think they would be better positioned to use that 15 minutes to show upcoming games. But look, we got what we got, eh? And like I said, yeah, and it's like, if you guys saw the Mario Kart Direct, to me it felt waste, like almost like a waste. Like I was like, I didn't need that to buy Mario Kart. You know what I mean? And I would have rather discovered it as I played the game than them basically just spell it all out for me ahead of time. And to be totally honest, Mario Kart at this point should come with a small tutorial. Mario should come with a small tutorial because honestly, the tricks are becoming complex enough that some people will probably never actually discover some of the tricks you can do. Like, I'm talking about like the younger casual audience that just pick up a controller and play. But yeah. So, if you didn't know, we are getting a Nintendo Direct this week. I will not be covering it live, so I know some of you might be sad, but I won't be covering it live. I will possibly be doing a reaction video after. However, if there's a demo that is announced, I will most likely instead just play the demo and give my impressions of the demo. I'm really crossing my fingers that they say there's a demo. Yeah, I know there's a game guide section, but I'd like there to actually be like a non-mandatory so that people that want to jump in can just jump in. But I would really like there to be an actual tutorial that has that shows you the actions. Because I get the game guide. I get it. I know it's there. It's just that I think it's a game that a lot of people need to be shown how to do stuff, not told how to do stuff. Like the wall jumping and the wall jumping and like and all that, like it's good to know it's there, but a lot of people can't execute it properly. And it's simply because they don't know that you can charge a jump by like charging without hitting a direction, like to charge it in a straight line. It's one of those things. Anyway, I just think that Mario Kart is getting complex enough now that it's definitely deserving of like a small tutorial section. And the worst is they could have built it into the open world. You could have like a Toad Academy where when you start out in the open world, like the first place you have is the Toad Academy, and you have to start there. And then Toad Academy, like Toad just asks you, do you want me to teach you the basics of racing? If you say no, like, or do you just want to roam the world? And if you say, I just want to roam the world, boom, you're there. And if you say, I want Toad to teach me the basics of racing, he brings you through a couple of like, you know, circuits of a race and shows you the basics. I think it'd be worth it. I think we're at the point where Mario Kart is getting complex enough, and there are parents and generations out there that just won't dig into how to play if there isn't a built-in tutorial. Man, Topaz, you have to stop putting your hair every freaking where. So annoying. Like, that's why, guys, I'm always, like, rubbing my nose. It's because, like, there is freaking topaz hair all over. And it's like during the winter, it's not that bad. But when it starts getting warm, it's like, well, it's because she's shedding right now. So it's, like, worse because she's shedding because it's getting warm. But, yeah. Okay. There we go. The news is over, guys. So we can all go to bed now. Okay? See you guys tomorrow. Oh, wait. I think we're forgetting something. That's right. We have to look at the new Nintendo Switch games for this week. Now, if you missed the beginning of the stream, I went through really quickly how we're going to set things up from now on. Or at least for the current space and time. We're going to be doing Switch 2 games and Switch 1 games together in the same video. And we're going to be doing it in the same section. I am going to be starting with the games that are specifically targeted towards Switch 2. And then we're going to move into the Switch 1 games. Okay? As we go over, like, as time goes on, if at one point it merits it, I would say if there are 5 or more Switch 2 games, I will start doing 2 separate videos. We'll still do them in the stream together. Like, I'll do Switch 2, fake outro, then jump into Switch 1, fake outro. You know what I mean? And then I'll do 2 separate videos the next day at that point. But till there's at least like 5 Switch 2 releases, targeted Switch 2 releases, because I repeat, all the Switch 1 games also run on 2. And I'm going to say it during the intro. Okay? I'm going to say it during the intro. But till there's like that point where we have like 5 targeted Switch 2 releases, I'm most likely going to do it in the same video. Is Link's Awakening worth buying for the Switch 2? Have you played Link's Awakening on the Switch 1? Because, like, if you haven't, like, if you like top-down Zeldas, I would say abso-fucking-lutely. It's one of my favorite top-down Zelda games. It's not my favorite. That is A Link to the Past. But it is among my favorite Zelda games, top-down Zelda games of all time, Link's Awakening. So, if you're asking me if it's worth, I would definitely say yes. But you have to like old school top-down Zelda games. If you're like a Breath of the Wild fan that can't deal with 2D top-down, meh. You get what I mean? So that's where you have to really ask yourself that question, Living Legend. Oh yeah, then for sure. It's buttery smooth on the Switch 2. It's amazing. Like, I... Honestly, the frame rate issues did not bother me on Switch 1 at all. But if you're asking, it's one of the best Zelda games, in my opinion, of all time. Mainly because it's heavily based on A Link to the Past. Completely separate stories. The worlds are different, but in case you don't know, like, when it was developed, the team developing it, their mission was to make a Link to the Past-like experience for Game Boy. Obviously, they couldn't make a Link to the Past for Game Boy because of the technical limitations of the Game Boy, but their idea was to make an experience that felt similar to that as much as possible. Totally disagree, Squirrel. Totally disagree. But it's okay. We can be friends even though we disagree on which is the best Zelda game of all time. It is A Link to the Past. And it's like it's not even debatable. Like, it's the granddaddy of modern Zelda. You said that to throw me off. That's what I was guessing, but I just wanted to say, like, not even close. Okay. You can actually jump in A Link to the Past, which was something revolutionary for Zelda. If you think about it, Zelda 2, you could jump as Link because it was like they did it in like a 2D platformer style for a lot of the game. But at that point, jumping in Zelda was like top down Zelda was unheard of, and you can jump in Link's Awakening, which you cannot do in many other Zelda games. Uh Link's Awakening's on VGP physically. VGP has Link's Awakening for Switch physically. So if you want, let me get you an affiliate code. Give me 2 seconds. I'll get you a specific one for Zelda. Okay? Because the game is worth it. I'll take the time to get that. Here you go, man. If you want to grab Link's Awakening physically for Switch, you have a link in the chat. That link will bring you directly to Link's Awakening. You could have used the general affiliate link and then picked it up that way, but if you want, that is a link directly to Link's Awakening on VGP. Okie dokie. Well, no, thank you, my man. You're helping out the channel and picking up a great game at the same time, as I say every time. Okay, let's get started, guys. So like I said, in case you haven't been here before for the new games, this becomes a separate video the next day for people that don't want to watch the like 2 to 3 hour stream that we do. So I do a like fake intro to the video, then we talk about the games, and then I do a fake outro, but it is not like the stream often doesn't end immediately at that moment. So I also try to integrate a few questions from the chat and whatnot while I'm presenting the games, but you'll see I'll be a little bit less active with the chat for the period that we're covering the games, just so that in the video format it like makes sense and it flows properly. Okay, but basically when I'm done the fake outro, that's where I'll sort of like catch back up on the chat questions and everything. So if you guys have comments, questions, or anything as I'm going through the games, do keep throwing them in the chat. I will try to address them. If it fits into like the flow of things, I'll address them as we're going through the games. And if not, I will try to address as many as I can when we are done the games. Now, let me just look at my little cheat sheet thingamajig here. Ugh, that's what I thought. Hold on. I need to grab this. I need to grab this. Hold on, I'm just shuffling around a few like items here. Why are you not joining the other tabs, you dum-dum? Give me a sec, guys. I don't know why it's doing this, but it's not joining the tabs in Chrome like it's supposed to. Which is super freaking annoying. Topaz, you really have to stop. You really have to stop. I love you too, little cat. Okay. Let's get moving. So hey everyone, and welcome back. So today we're going to be looking not only at the new Nintendo Switch games, but also the new Nintendo Switch 2 games. And for the moment, I'll be combining both in one same video. Obviously, because there aren't that many Switch 2 focused games coming out on a weekly basis. But as usual, don't forget that if I forget any games, let me know which ones I may be overlooked in the comments down below. And at the same time, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Now let's jump into the new games for this week. Not too bad. But like I said, I don't like I can't combine the stupid tabs, and I don't know why. Like, it's really stupid that I can't combine the tabs. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize. I have no choice. Oh, it doesn't work. Hold on, guys. I'm going to just try to fiddle a little bit more around with this. Now it combines. Now it combines. God dang it. So we're going to start today with the Nintendo Switch 2 games. Now, to be totally honest, this isn't a solely Nintendo Switch 2 game because there is also a Nintendo Switch 1 release. However, I do think that most people targeting this game should look at it on the Nintendo Switch 2. And that is Raidu Remastered: The Mystery of the Soulless Army, which is basically an action RPG from the same developers as the Shin Megami Tensei series. It has that awesome look that they are known for, and it looks like a game that has a ton of great storyline as well. Personally, I really hope I have time to pick up this game, but since it is an Atlas RPG, I'm expecting quite a bit of runtime hours, so I might not have time to play through this game as I would like. But nonetheless, let's take a look at the trailer. I do think that if you're in the market for a new action RPG, this one is looking like a great remaster.
Devil's Bane.
Actually, hold on, guys. We're going to restart that because I don't have my headset on. My God, I'm so freaking disorganized tonight. Sorry, my bad, guys. We're going to have to restart this part. I'm so sorry. Don't worry. After that, we're going to flow and it's going to be way better. I'm like, why am I not hearing the trailer? Dumbass, you're not wearing your headset. Okay. So our first game for this week, we're actually going to start with a Nintendo Switch 2 game. But to be totally honest, it is not only a Nintendo Switch 2 game because there is a Switch 1 release. However, in my opinion, I do think that most people targeting this game are going to be going, if you can, for the Nintendo Switch 2 version. And that is Raidu Remastered, an action RPG from Atlas that honestly is very, very interesting, both graphically and story-wise. It has the same look as the Shin Megami Tensei series, which is a great RPG series. The only thing is I'm not quite sure I'll have time to play through this game because it's an Atlas RPG. You most likely are going to have to expect quite a few hours of gameplay, but I've got to say, if you are in the market for this kind of game for this week, it is going to be probably a great pickup. And this game is going to be selling for $49.99 for its regular version. Now, there are digital deluxes for more than that, and you can see your local currency up top on the top of the screen. But I do think that for the price, you're most likely going to get a great deal of value out of this game. Now let's take a look at the trailer and see what the game is all about.
Devil's Bane.
I love the sort of 1950s look that it has and all that.
In the Taisho era, we're the only detectives that specialize in that sort of thing.
And take that
yes,
CC
this is the
off.
Army Detective Agency.
Please, sir. Please, help.
Righto. Got a case. Let's roll. It's time.
Honestly, I was unfamiliar with the original Rido, so if I do play through the game, for me it's going to be a totally new experience.
The Dark Realm is like a junction between the real world and the netherworld.
Bravo, detective. Or should I say, devil summoner. Raido Kuzunoha.
You may call me Goto. Take it easy.
And it has those same vibes as the Shin Megami Tensei series, that mix of real world with devil world.
And listen to me for a minute, okay?
So, I ask, are you prepared to lead the life of a devil summoner?
And yes, my chat is reminding me that it's an action RPG. I didn't specify that, but yes, it is an action RPG. And so we have Raidu Remastered that is coming out on June 19th for this one. So our first Nintendo Switch 2 game from the series, and honestly, it is looking like a great pickup. I really can't wait till we get a regular flow of new Nintendo Switch 2 games on a weekly basis, but for the moment, this is the only Switch 2 targeted game. I do want to remind you all, however, although now we're going to be jumping into the Nintendo Switch 1 games, all of them are pretty much going to be running on the Nintendo Switch 2, and for a lot of them, you're actually going to be getting a better experience from the Nintendo Switch 2. One in particular I can vouch for personally, since I got a review code for it and I've played it on both consoles. It plays better on the Switch 2. So let's take a look now at the Nintendo Switch 1 games for this week. Now, our first game is going to be Songs of Conquest. Now, this game is coming out on June 17th. It will be selling for $29.99, and basically, this game is an acclaimed turn-based strategy RPG. If we read through this right here, it is basically it was originally released on PC in 2022. Now, I did check out the reviews. It sits around an 8 on the reviews on PC. I love the mix of sort of pixel art style with a map that seems more detailed. It gives like a sort of HD 2D feel, but it's not true HD 2D. Nonetheless, I think if you are in the market for a strategy RPG, this could be one to check out for this week. Let's take a look at the trailer and you'll see where this game sits. So like I said, you see a little bit more detailed environment with some pixel art overarching. It gives you a similar feel to HD 2D, but not truly. So the trailer is not too long, but it does give you a slight glimpse of what you expect. It's those strategy RPGs, and like I said, since it's sitting at around an 8 on the PC, I do think that this is a game that you could consider for this week. Not only that, but it's a $30 price point, which is pretty good if the game has a decent runtime. So our first game for this week is going to be Songs of Conquest. Now, jumping straight into our next one, we are remaining on June 17th, and that is going to be Lost in Random. the sequel to the first game. This one is going to be called The Eternal Die. Now, the game is releasing for this one on, I said June 17th, and it's going to be selling for $24.99. Now, this time it's going to be a fast-paced action roguelike set in the dark, whimsical world of Lost in Random. So the gameplay style is changing somewhat into a fast-paced action roguelike. Graphics look great. Gameplay looks extremely fun. Now, of course, we are getting a lot of these top-down action roguelikes on the Switch. However, nonetheless, I do think this one has an interesting enough gameplay uniqueness to it. And the world setup in Lost in Random was a pretty great one. So I personally am really happy that I'm going to get a chance to revisit it yet again. And at $24.99, it's a fair price point for this style of gameplay. Let's take a look at the trailer once again. This one is a little bit longer, so we're going to get a better look at the gameplay. I like the way they were implementing the dice as well, because I was wondering how they would connect it to the mechanics in the first game.
There's ancient magic in these.
And visually, the game's looking stunning. However, I'm going to tell you right away, this is not the game I played, but I'm expecting this one to run a lot better on the Switch 2 than on the Switch 1. I am slightly worried that on Switch 1, there will be slowdowns during the high action sequences, and I'm pretty sure the Switch 2 is going to come in and fix most of those problems. But if you're looking for a new action roguelike for this week, this looks like a visually stunning one. Super excited, and once again, like I said, it's set in a universe of Lost in Random that has great lore behind it. So now, with that one out of the way, let's take a look at our next game. Next, we have a game that honestly I didn't think was gonna make the list, but then when I saw the trailer, I was actually pleasantly surprised. And when I looked at the developer and publisher of the game, I was even more surprised, because they generally make pretty good games. And that is Disney's Tron Catalyst, that is coming out on June 17th once again, and is once again selling for $24.99. Now, this is a top-down action game. It is not a roguelike. This one has a storyline basis. However, it's looking pretty good. And honestly, I'm generally not a huge fan of movie tie-ins, but look, I'm willing to give this one a chance. And like I said, the publisher actually has some pretty decent games under their belt. Like Monster Train 2 is the same publisher as this one. So let's take a look at the gameplay, and you'll see that this Tron game might actually be a decent pickup for this week. Obviously, we have to wait for a review, because I haven't actually played the game, but from what I can tell from the trailer, looking pretty decent.
It was.
Oh, and Devolver's involved.
Core won't let you escape, Exo. And even if you do, nobody escapes the glitch.
Then, I fight them. Here.
Like, there seems to be a decent strategy element, however, to the gameplay. I do not know if there's a physical release for any of these games. I did not check. I know Raidu there is, but I do not know for the other ones. And honestly, the Tron elements seem to be really well integrated. You're right that it looks slow. I just think that it's maybe based on more of a strategic type of gameplay. And like I said, with the involvement of Devolver Digital, the publishers that are behind this, I would be willing to, I'm willing to give this one a chance. So I'm actually going to look into picking up a review key for this one. I had skipped it originally because it was Tron, but when I looked into it, checked out the trailers, this one sort of, it turned me around on it. I'm willing to give it a chance. So that's another one to look out for on June 17th. Now we have one game left for June 17th before we move on to our next dates. And that is a indie game that actually looks pretty freaking interesting. And that is Rooftops and Alleys, that basically is a parkour game. Now this one is releasing, like I said, June 17th. It is also selling for $24.99. This game totally gives me like old school Tony Hawk vibes, but with a different style of gameplay. But it still seems like the same thing where you're going to have different maps. Your point is to make it around the maps, hitting the high scores. You're most likely going to have objectives to hit on each one of the maps. And the trailer here actually, you'll see it's voiced over quite a bit. It details quite a few elements about the gameplay. And I would say that if you're into those like sports open world games, this seems like an extremely interesting one for this week, especially due that it's based on a sport that a lot of people are just, I would say, I don't want to say ignorant to, but I personally didn't know much about parkour and free running, and just watching this trailer, it actually looks freaking amazing.
Hey, this is Michael, the developer behind Rooftops and Alleys.
And I think the art style that they chose for it is also really advantageous.
To the next best steel beam you can find. First of all, parkour and free running are not quite the same. While one focuses more on getting from A to B in the fastest way possible, the other is all about style, flow,
yeah, I know that Tony Hawk's going to be key cards, my man. Tony Hawk 3 and 4.
An engaging gameplay experience for players in solo and multiplayer. The game is easy to pick up, but hard to master, so stay strong as you jump headfirst.
Like, I love the movement. It looks so fluid and great. And you can see that it's ragdoll physics, but it doesn't look like cheap ragdolls.
Trick challenges, you will quickly improve your skill level to perform the craziest lines in the 6 different maps available at launch. Each map has its unique style, environment, and set of challenges, making sure to offer a fun and engaging playground for the action every time. With the game's intuitive controls, you have loads of tricks and moves at your disposal.
And it's been a while that we haven't had one of these like sports-based games that really feels like a different experience. And this one does it.
Meter going down, helping you get those super high scores. Mastering the movement is key to completing all challenges in the game and customizing the character to the style of your liking. Completing challenges in the game makes you earn feathers, which unlock over 100 different customization items for you and your pigeon with the built-in progression system. Oh yeah, you can totally be a pigeon in my game. Think of it as your free cam, your session marker, pin dropper, and most importantly, your little friend. In each map, you unlock the pigeon by exploring around and finding.
That's actually a really cool thing that the pigeon lets you explore, like, and set up like sort of your parkour beforehand. Yeah, the movement looks extremely fluid.
Play online, hang out in free roam multiplayer, or engage in intense.
And that's what reminds me of Tony Hawk.
Or tricks battle. And when you're tired,
like you could jump into the game, not know anything about it, and still manage to pull off some really cool tricks.
And much more. With solo progression and multiplayer game modes, 6 unique maps, original in-game music, loads of challenges, endless trick combos, and tons of customization options to unlock, Rooftops and Alleys will have you covered for a long time as soon as the game releases on June 17th.
So like I said, really cool release for this week. I think this one is going to fly under the radar for a lot of people, but I don't think it should be set aside. Once again, I'm looking forward to seeing what the experience is going to be like and performance on both Switch 1 and Switch 2 for this one. Okay, now let's jump into our next one. Now we're moving over to the 18th with Battle Train. Now I'm going to say I actually am super interested in the gameplay for this one. Now, Battle Train is going to be selling for $19.99. It is published by Bandai Namco, and it is basically the fusion of a roguelike deck builder and a track builder. And what I love is that it seems to be geared around playing against your friends. And honestly, the gameplay looks extremely interesting and extremely like a great fusion of strategy and deck building. And let's jump into the trailer because it's really hard to explain. I think it's best to take a look at it visually first.
Let's play some
Like, it even makes me feel somewhat like an RTS.
Compete on the world's most
Elements of an
popular game
RTS.
show. Play your cards, build your tracks, launch explosive locomotives to destroy your enemies.
So the trains, those are loaded with explosives?
Yes, glorious destruction.
And honestly, I love the
This is
characterizations
off the
here.
You have a shot at the big bucks and the title of President Conductor.
You are not worthy.
Demolish your friends' faces and dash the hopes and dreams of your family. Battle train.
So who drives all these trains? Are they like remote controlled?
Yes, they are.
So as you can see, like, it really seems interesting. So basically, your deck helps you build your your train course, and then your goal is to defeat your enemy on the other side by destroying his train tracks and his trains. So honestly, it really feels super innovative as gameplay. And I think that deck builders is a really hot ticket item right now in a lot of developers' minds. And this one actually has a really, really original twist to it. I will be answering that question for you very shortly, Living Legend. Thank you for the $2 donation. Very appreciated, my man. And you will be getting your answer, I guarantee you, very, very shortly, my man. And actually, why not give you your answer right now? Because our next game for this week is the game that my friend Living Legend is asking about, Chronicles of the Wolf. Now, this is a game that, yes, I already have played. I already have a review key for this game. I've had a chance to try it on Switch 1 and Switch 2. And although it does play on Switch 1 pretty well, it is a much even smoother experience on Switch 2. Now, Chronicles of the Wolf is a 2D action puzzle Metroidvania that is very, very feeling like classic Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It is a gorgeous game with, I would say, very, very fun mechanics, and we will have a chance to stream this game. Or maybe I'll just put out a video, one or the other, but it is guaranteed we're covering this game on the channel. I already have a review code. I've already been playing the game, and this one looks absolutely gorgeous. Let's take a look at the trailer, and I'm pretty sure, just as I was, you'll be convinced just by looking at it.
The beast cannot be
Not to
killed.
mention it's from Pixel Heart, which make a lot of games that I love.
Come forward.
Just the walking is classic Castlevania, man. And they mix in elements of Castlevania 2 with the day and night cycles.
It's getting late, traveler.
Beam of invincibility.
The one thing I'm gonna warn, however, it is challenging. So be prepared for that if you are picking it up. But like I said, if you're looking for a visually stunning Metroidvania for this week, beautiful game. And yes, it is related, as you see from the Bloodstained series, or they're featuring a special appearance from Bloodless from the Bloodstained series. So they're doing a crossover already, because obviously you can see that there's a heavy deal of inspiration between those series. They're all pulling inspiration, however, from Symphony of the Night. So to be honest, this game already had a lot going for it before I even picked it up. And like I said, Pixel Heart makes some really great retro feeling games. So that is Chronicles of the Wolf. It is a game that I had been highly anticipating. I had my eye on it for over 2 months, and I was very happy when I finally got a review code for it. Great game for this week. If you're looking for something cool, you want to spend $20, I don't think you'll be disappointed. Now, if you have a Switch 2, you'll be getting smoother performance, however. Just throwing it out there. Next, for this week, we have my sort of, let's say, long shot of the week. It is a shoot 'em up, but it looks extremely interesting as a shoot 'em up. Now, give me just a second here. For some reason, I have a little problem with my web browser. Give me just a sec here.
Alright, fans of classic scrolling shooters.
Give me a sec, guys. Unfortunately, when I moved around the freaking stuff, it messed up. Okay, here we go. Now, what's really special about this, so we're just going to restart this one, guys. My bad. I'm going to edit this out of the final video. So our next game for this week is going to be what I would say would be my sort of long shot game of the week. Why? Because it is a top-down shoot 'em up. I really didn't hear about this game at all before I checked out the trailer, but it looks like it has enough original elements that even if you're into the shoot 'em up genre, and there are a ton on the Switch, this one has some really interesting elements. Number one, graphically, it has some really, I would say, high highs, and at the same time, it has an original, almost bullet time-like mechanic that you're going to see them use a couple of times during the trailer, which is a really interesting element for a shoot 'em up that, off the top of my head, I can't really think of another shoot 'em up that uses this mechanic, and it feels like a perfect fit. So let's take a look at the trailer. On top of it, this game is going to be coming out on June 19th, and it's going to be selling for only $9.99 or your local equivalent that you can check out up top. So let's take a look at Blast Rush LS. So obviously it has a lot of bullet hell elements. And there you saw really quickly one of the bullet time elements. But we'll see it a little better a little further down in the trailer. And here you go. Now you see it really used to its proper degree. And honestly, I'm really excited about that because it feels like it can be the perfect use. And I love the visuals on those super moves and those power beams. Like I said, it has some really high highs visually. Like the base look of the game maybe isn't stunning, but then when you unleash those big attacks, it really hits you hard. And I love that about shoot 'em ups. I think that's where it plays out the best, where it's sort of toned down during the regular gameplay, and then you got these moments where graphically it really turns it up. So if you're looking for a shoot 'em up for this week, I do think Blast Rush LS is going to be a safe pick, I would say, for this week, because it's really hard to get something like this wrong, especially with that great bullet time element added in. Awesome. Next, we have another, I would say, long shot for this week. We have Hungry Memes, which is releasing also on Hungry Meme, sorry, not Memes, Hungry Meme, releasing on June 19th and will be selling for $29.99. Now, this game, honestly, you're basically building the world tree with a storybook look And I have a really hard time grasping exactly how the gameplay is going to play out. But the graphical style is so original that it pulled me in, and I definitely want to keep an eye on this one for this week. Not only that, but it's brought to you by the same developers as some pretty decent games out there. Like the developer does have some pretty decent games under its belt. So I do think it's worth paying attention to for this week. Let's take a look at the trailer. It's not a very long trailer, but I do think that if you're into sort of like management and world building, it seems extremely interesting. Honestly, I almost get like a PS1 vibe from it. So like I said, it's hard to get a grasp exactly of how it plays out. But the developer, for example, did Oni as well. If you know Oni, which was a game that had a really great visual concept, a great basic concept, it maybe just went a little bit too grindy in its gameplay. I think maybe this Hungry Meme game can possibly turn things around, and you can definitely see the same graphical influence here. But overall, if you want a long shot for this week, I think this one is one to keep an eye out for if you're into the sort of management life sim type of gameplay. Next we have a game that I will say is the game that has me most, how can I put this? I don't want to say excited, but it has me most interested for this week, because I think that this game can either be an absolute banger or it can feel like a cheap ripoff. And this is because we have a 3D action adventure game called Wiko the Mask Gatherer that is releasing also on June 19th and will be selling for $21.99. And this is a action adventure, I will say it, Zelda-like. The game looks like it could have some amazing potential. But if you all know, it is also really easy to make a Zelda-like look good and then play not so good. So this one has me incredibly interested, yet I'm also very cautious. That was maybe the word I was looking for. I'm extremely interested, but very cautious as well. And I really hope I can get my hands on a review key for this one, because I think this one is worth looking into and really determining, is it worth picking up or not? So let's take a look at Wiko the Mask Gatherer. And it sort of gives me that Majora's Mask type of vibe from the name. Like, you can see the puzzle and combat focus of the gameplay. And there we have Wiko the Mask Gatherer. I don't know about you guys, but like I said, extremely interested, yet extremely cautious, I think, is the best way to look at this one for this week. But I definitely want to try it out. Hopefully we'll be able to. If you're a fan of Zelda likes, I would keep this one definitely on the radar for this week. Now, we are almost done. We have 2 games left for this week. Our next one is going to be Through the Nightmares. Now, Through the Nightmares is a hardcore 2D platformer with some tricks under its belt. The main gameplay mechanic here is that you're going to be able to shift different sizes, and you're going to have to do that on the fly to traverse the different levels. Now, this looks like a hardcore, very challenging game, so I would warn you against that for this week if you're not into that type of gameplay. It is also releasing on June 19th, and it's going to have a sales price of $19.99. Now, let's take a look at the gameplay, and then we will give our final verdicts on this one. Visually, the game looks stunning, by the way.
Once again, you have been summoned to the world known as the Nightmare. Another dreamer has been claimed. Okay. One more time. Once again, you have been summoned to the world known as the Nightmare.
Like they're telling you, you're going to have to redo the levels over and over again till you get them perfect.
Let's try again. Once again, you have been summoned to the world known as the Nightmare. Another dreamer has been claimed by the Lord of Dreams. Hurry and find him before he fades into oblivion.
Like, I'm getting Super Meat Boy vibes from it too.
Through the nightmares. Play the demo now.
And once again, looks like an amazing, visually stunning game for this week. I once again do think it's going to be playing better on the Switch 2. If you look at the gameplay, this one is going to have a real importance on frame rate and having the game run smoothly. And I do think that, you know, unfortunately, it's going to be a recurring theme over the next little bit. But if you do have a Switch 2, I maybe think you're going to get more mileage out of that game than Switch 1. And our last game for this week is another game that is sort of after my heart, a 2D action platformer that looks like a blend of Mega Man with Metroidvania vibes to it. It is called Rusty Rangers, and this one is releasing on June 21st and will be selling for $15 or your local equivalent. And you guys know I'm a huge Mega Man fan, so anything that looks like it has even a bit of Mega Man influence definitely hits my radar right away, and this game definitely makes it. However, what really seems different is that you'll be able to play a multitude of different characters. Each seem to have a very different gameplay style, but all of them look interesting, and once again, the pixel art looks really good. So let's take a look at this last trailer for this week. Rusty Rangers. Now, some characters, as you can see, seem to have like blaster attacks. Others seem to have melee attacks. Others seem to have like flamethrower attacks. And this little guy is like mounted on a dragon all the time. So it's really cool to see that these different characters are available. Now, what I'm wondering is, can you switch on the fly, or do you select one and like make your way to a different area and you can only switch at checkpoints? But all this is going to be answered if we do get our hands on this game. And I think that at $15, it offers a fun experience. Could be definitely a great pickup for this week. And there we have a Rusty Rangers. So honestly, overall, a pretty good lineup of games for this week. Obviously, I think that the best pickups for this week, in my opinion, is going to be the Switch 2, Switch 1 release, which is Raidu. But overall, I think there's a lot of other great games to be excited about. Like Lost in Random, I think is going to be another stellar pick for this week. And Chronicles of the Wolf is a no-brainer if you're a Metroidvania fan. Now, let me know in the comments down below, what was your favorite game of the list of this week? Once again, like I said at the beginning, if you think I missed out on a game too, let me know in the comments down below. Always appreciated. On the way out, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and click on that notification bell. And as usual, I hope I'll see you in my next video. Hey guys, what was the game I messed up? It was Blast Rush LS, that I have to do an edit. Yeah, I'm just gonna mark it on my sheet here. Okie dokie, guys. We ran through our Switch 1 games, our Switch 2 games. Honestly, Like I said, a pretty good lineup. And after the last couple of weeks where things were really, really quiet and shitty, well, I don't want to say shitty. It's like we got all the massive Switch 2 releases, but outside of the Switch 2 releases, like the last couple of weeks were very dry. It's good to see us going back to normal with like a bunch of new releases, some really, indie gems looking like they're coming our way. Chronicles of the Wolf. Next week we have Rusty Riverside as well. So like we've had some really good games I can vouch for already coming out over the next little while. So let me catch up quickly, see what I missed. Any good retro racing games on the Switch other than Horizon Chase Turbo? I would say you could pick up right now. I would say Ridge Racer is a great pickup if you're looking for semi-retro. Obviously, it's not retro. It's like early 3D style, but to me, it still feels retro because it's like PlayStation 1. But Terminator 2 has some killers, 32 bits, Saturn-like pixel art. Yeah, Terminator 2D is going to be one magnificent game, I think. I'm hoping they don't fuck it up. If they fuck it up, I'm going to be super pissed. Like, super duper pissed. Oh, dude, honestly, I'm not even paying attention to the rhetoric online around the Switch 2 because, like I said, most people, like, I think there's two things. Most people that are bitching at the Switch 2 is either because they don't have the money to pick one up and they're trying to sort of bait themselves into believing that the Switch 1 is better. Or number two is that they were never going to be a Nintendo fan and they were never going to buy a Switch to begin with, and they just enjoy ripping on Nintendo stuff. And I switched, and like that's nothing against the people that have a Switch 1 and that are happy with their Switch 1. I'm talking about the people that are ripping on the Switch 2, trying to convince themselves that their OLED is better than a Switch 2 right now. Like, if you're happy with your OLED, I'm super glad you're happy with your OLED, and you should be happy with your OLED. I'm just like, there's a difference between saying, look, I'm happy with my OLED, and I'm good, then, hey, my OLED's better than a Switch 2. Like, I think that's like, yeah. That's like, that you're trying to, you're gaslighting yourself at that point. I think you're definitely gaslighting yourself. Yeah, but don't forget that, like, that negative narrative, and you're right. Look, like myself, I could lean into the negative narrative, but I've never wanted to because that's not the kind of person I am. Like, I'm not going to fake an opinion just to get views because I know it's going to be more popular. Like, look at my perspective on the battery life of the Switch. I've been warning people about it for a year, but did I start coming out with like, it's the end of the world, this is going to be the worst console ever because it has a bad battery life and blah, blah, blah. Oh, look at it, I'm right, it had the worst battery ever. No, because like, that's not the kind of person I am. And I don't get influenced by negative rhetorics. Like, negative rhetorics don't affect my opinion because I always make my opinion based on what I actually think. And I'm not saying people can't change my mind. I'm just saying, like, to change my mind, the facts you're presenting have to line up with my way of thinking too. And seeing a lot of people bitching about something does not make me all of a sudden not like something. And honestly, it's like, I don't know if I should say this, but like, sometimes hate is almost better than love, okay? I'm convinced that there is this one dude that watch each and every one of my videos. Well, when I say watch, there's this dude that clicks on each one of my videos simply to dislike them. Why? Because I have a massive number of videos that have only one dislike on them. One. Like, I have a few videos that have, like, more than one. But, like, I have a massive number of videos that only have one dislike. What are the chances that... Do you understand what I mean? Like, what are the chances that out of 450 videos, 350 of them have only one dislike? And that it would be a random different person that only drops one dislike on the video. I'm pretty convinced that out there's a dude that hates me so much that he actually clicks on each one of my videos and dislikes them. Which is why I wind up with a bunch of videos with only one dislike. I find that hilarious. And I find it actually more flattering almost than someone who likes all my videos. Because he actually takes the time. Like, I wonder what I did to this guy. Like, did I piss in his cereal or some shit? Like, what did I do to this guy that he takes the time to click on each one of my videos and dislike each one of them? Like, think of how rent-free I'm living in his head that he takes the time to do that. And it actually warms my heart at night when I think about that. Is it weird that it actually, like, makes me, like, happy that I'm like, dude, man, this guy hates me so much that he takes the time to dislike each one of my freaking videos. And I have a lot of videos. Like, you know, some people make like a video a month. Like, like on average, like, okay, it's been a little bit quieter at the beginning of this year, but before that, I used to make like 3 to 4 videos a week, every week for like 4 or 5 years. Like, I'm over 1,000 videos, and like most of them have that one freaking dislike on it. And like, I know the dislikes are hidden now, but you can, like, it's funny. Like, can I show it? Let me just see. I want to see if I can show it like safely. Okay, I think I can show it pretty safely. Like, I don't think it's like there's any like super private information. But like I said, there's like I say one, but there's like 1 or 2 dislikes, okay? Like, check it out, okay? eShop deals here. 146 likes to 2 dislikes. 51 to 1. 39 to 1. 183 to 2. 73 to 5. Yeah, people really didn't like this one. I don't know what I said, but something. 160 to 2. 174 to 2. Like, there's no way that there's like randomly always only 2 people that dislike the videos, 1 or 2 people, without it always being the same 1 or 2 people. Like, the max I hit is like 5 on some videos. And normally I know when the video is going to hit more dislikes, simply because, like, I think like when I do the new Nintendo Switch games, like, some people don't like the format because it's too long and I talk too much and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I do it for... I could do it in more of like an edited format, but honestly, like, for the moment, with the time I have, I think it's the best way to do the new new games of the week consistently, and it not eat up too much time for other stuff. But yeah, that's it. So anyway, I know. Anyway, it's just funny. I know it's weird, but it's like, I actually like that these 2 guys take the time to like dislike all my videos, even though it's weird as fuck. But anyway, it is what it is. It is what it is. Guys, 2 a.m. It's time to head to bed. I know sometimes I spend like an extra 15, 20 minutes, but tonight I really want to hit the bed because I want to edit my Ragebound video tomorrow morning. And I would like to do a deals video, but I think my deals video is getting nixed. I think it's getting 86th. Because unfortunately, like, a lot of the deals were running out on the 19th. And because we are now the 17th and I haven't put the video out yet, I really don't like putting out a deals video when there's 1 day left. I really hate doing that. The problem is if I don't do that, I'm going to have to wait till the deals flip over on the 19th, because there's like a shitload of deals ending on the 19th. It's like a really bad timing issue right now on the eShop. Like, we're at a huge rollover date where the 19th is coming up. So it's either push out a video now, but all the deal, like 60% of the deals are going to only be good for 1 day. Or skip the video, but now I have to wait like an extra 48 hours when I'm already sort of a little bit late on the deals. It's like a weird timing thing. But anyway. Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Annie. I hope you're feeling better. I hope your hand is feeling better. Well, I know it isn't feeling better yet, but I hope it feels better soon. And I hope like things look up for you really quick, man. So thanks for everyone for showing up. I love y'all, guys. As usual, don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already on the way out. And as usual, I hope I'll see all of you in my next video. Have a great one, guys. Free Diddy, he needs to be in the upcoming DK game. Which Diddy? Which Diddy? Yeah, but I agree. Diddy Kong should be in the next. Diddy Kong should be in the game. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out that he is on Wednesday. See you guys.